vulnerability, and treachery. Although the demonstration of strength the Prophet organized at Hamra al-Assad was effective, where he encamped with his army for 3 days, light, lighting fires throughout the night and causing it to be known that they were ready and prepared to meet the Quraysh in a second encounter if such was his intention. It could not completely erase the fact that at Uhud the Muslims suffered a military defeat. The Jews and the hypocrites in Medina did not conceal their pleasure at what had befallen the Muslim. They started a campaign of ridicule with the Prophet himself as their main target. The Jews in particular started to raise doubt as to whether Muhammad was indeed a prophet. The Muslim defeat was the favorite topic of conversation for the Jews and the hypocrites. Wherever they were and whoever they talked to, the question was asked, how can a messenger of God be defeated by pagan idol worshipper? Their emphatic statement, which they used to repeat every time and everywhere was, had Muhammad been a true prophet, he would not have suffered that defeat. He is no more than an ambitious adventurer who seeks a kingdom. As such, he sometimes wins and sometimes loses. The hypocrites, on the other hand, tried hard to turn people away from the Muslim camp. They tried to portray the defeat at Uhud as an unmitigated disaster. They took pride in the fact that they deserted the army before the battle. The Muslim, they argued, would have been better advised to follow suit. That, however, was the list of the Muslim warriors. After all, nothing else could have been expected from the Jews, who had already taken a hostile attitude to the Prophet and the Muslim generally. The hypocrites also found that the Muslim defeat provided them with a chance to have a go at them. Those Muslims who are firm in their faith would not be shaken or diverted from their course by the taunt of Jews and the ridicule of the hypocrites. The Prophet worked hard at the reassuring the Muslims and consolidating their faith. The overwhelming majority of them responded positively. The Muslim community in Medina closed, closed ranks and started to repair the damage. Attending to external danger. The external danger, however, was becoming more serious. Many a tribe considered that they had not much to fear from the Muslim, and adopted a hostile attitude towards them. The Bedouin tribes in the area close to the Medina felt that they could launch looting raids on the city without fearing any great punishment. The Asad tribe was the first to contemplate such a looting raid. They started to get ready, mobilizing their force. The Prophet, however, had already established a wide intelligence network so that he might always be informed of any development that would affect the security of Medina and its Muslim population. When he received intelligence of the intention of the Assad clan, he raised a force of 150 men from the Muhajirin and the Ansar under the leadership of Abu Salama, his companion. The Muslims moved fast and were able to attack the Assad tribe in their own place, taking them by surprise. The, the attacking Muslim force was able to disperse the enemy and drive their cattle with them as they went back to Medina, having achieved a total victory without suffering any casualties. Abu Salama, who was wounded at Uhud, suffered a recurrence of the same injury. Medical attention was of no avail, and he died a few days later. Then the Prophet received information that Khalid ibn Sufyan of the Hudai, Hudai, Hudayl tribe was raising a large force in order to attack Medina. The Prophet called his companion Abdullah ibn Anis and told him of the information had received. He asked him to go to the Khalid ibn Sufyan, who was at the Urana, and kill him. Abdullah ibn Anis asked the Prophet to describe him so that he would know the man. The Prophet said, when you see him, he will remind you of Satan. The sign which will confirm to you that he is your man is that when you look at him, you will feel as if he is trembling. Abdullah ibn Anis reported what he did. I saw him with his women. He was trying to locate a place for them to encamp. It was time for the Asr prayer. When I saw him, I recognized the sign of the Prophet told me of his trembling. I walked toward him, but then I feared that there might be some engagement between the two of us, which would not enable me to offer my prayer. So I therefore offered my prayer while walking towards him, making signs with my head instead of the normal movements of the prayer. When I reached him, he asked me who I was. I said, I am an Arab and I have heard that you are mobilizing a force to attack that man and have decided to join you. He said, I am doing that indeed. I walked with him a little until I could take him unawares. Then, at the right moment, I hit him with my sword and killed him. I left the place with his women crying over his body. When I arrived in Medina, the Prophet saw me and said, successful is the mission. I said, I have killed him. Messenger of God, he said, that is right. Welcome those to the stand up for truth and justice. I am sharing information from the life of our beloved Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And if you can join with me, and if you are new to the channel, please subscribe the channel. Then you can get access all the videos available in the channel. So, and you can watch it on your own time. Playing a dirty trick. The Hudail were enraged at the assassination of their leader. They realized that they could not avenge themselves against the Muslims if they were to attack them in Medina, realizing that deceit was the only way to revenge. They sent a delegation to the Prophet from two tribes named Adal and Al-Qara. As the delegation spoke to the Prophet, they claimed that their tribesmen had a desire to learn about Islam and possibly embrace it. They requested the Prophet to send a few of his companions to explain Islam to them and to teach them how to read the Quran. The Prophet sent 6 of his companions with them and appointed Martad ibn Abi Martad as their leader. The other 5 were Khalid ibn al-Bukair, Asim ibn Sabit, Kubayb ibn Adi, Jaid ibn al-Datinna, and Abdullah ibn Tariq. The two groups traveled together until they reached a spring called Al-Razi, which belonged to the Hudayl, where they encamped. Secretly, the delegation sent to the Hudayl to come over and arrest the Muslim group. Taken by surprise, the 6 Muslims found themselves surrounded by over 100 people from Al Hudayl. They managed to find shelter in a nearby hill and showed that they were prepared to fight. The men from Adal and Al Kara told them, "We do not wish to kill you. All that we are after is to hand you over to the people of Mecca in return for some money. We swear to you by God and give you our solemn pledge that we will not kill you." The first 3, Martad, Khalid, and Asim, told them that they would never accept a pledge from or enter into any agreement with anyone who associates partners with God. They fought along with their companions against their treacherous attackers, and all 3 of them were killed. The other 3 were inclined to accept the offer of attacking forces. They laid down their arms and were taken prisoner. As soon as they came down from their place on the hill, Abdullah ibn Tariq realized that his captors were bent on treachery. He managed to release his hand, which had been tied, took up his sword, and moved back. The people, however, bombarded him with arrows, stones, and other missiles until he was killed. The other 2 Muslims were kept under guard, honoring a dead man's pledge. Their mother, Sulafa bint Saad, was among the Quraysh women who joined the army in the Battle of Uhud. She knew that Asim was the man who killed her 2 sons. She made a vow that if she ever got hold of Asim, she would use his skull as a glass with which she would drink wine. Now his killers wanted to cut off his head in order to sell it to Sulafa. They felt they could ask a high price for it. Asim had pledged to God that he would never touch an unbeliever or let an unbeliever touch him, although this is not required of a Muslim. Asim made this pledge, feeling that the unbelievers were impure and as such he should have no physical contact with them at all. When he fell dead, he was obviously at the mercy of his killer, who were unbelievers. When they approached him to cut off his head, they found great numbers of hornet, wasps, and bees almost covering him. They felt the wasp and hornet would turn against them if they were to carry on with their intention. Someone suggested that they should wait until night had fallen, when this insect would go back to their nest. As the sun started to decline, however, floods came and carried the body of Asim ibn Thabit to an unknown destination. When he learned that Asim was protected by hornets and wasps, Umar bin al-Khattab said, God will always protect his faithful servants. Asim made a pledge that he would never touch unbelievers as long as he lived, and God kept his pledge for him after he died. The remaining two prisoners, Khubayb ibn Adi and Jaid ibn al-Tatinna, were taken to Mecca, where they were told to the Quraysh. Uqba ibn al-Haris bought Khubayb in order to kill him in retaliation for the killing of his own father, al-Haris ibn Amir. And Safwan ibn Umayyah bought Jaid in order to avenge the death of his own father, Umayyah ibn Khalaf, who was killed at the Battle of Badr. Since the two men were captured during the month in which all killing and fighting was traditionally prohibited in Arabia, they were kept prisoner until that period was over. Short afterward, the two men were taken to the place called At-Tanim, about 6 kilometers to the north of Mecca, to be killed. A large number of men and women and children were out there to witness the killing of the two defenseless prisoners. Safwan ibn Umayyah ordered one of his slaves, called Nastas, to kill Zaid as he was placed to be killed. Abu Sufyan spoke to Zaid and asked him, in the name of God, Zaid, would you prefer that Muhammad was in your place being killed now by us and you were safe with your family? Zaid answered, I don't wish to be with my family now, and Muhammad is troubled by a thorn in his body. Wherever he is now, Abu Sufyan commented, I have never seen anyone have to have so much love for another as the followers of Muhammad love him. When Khubayb was brought up to be killed, he made a request to his killer. I should be grateful if you would let me have a short prayer. They granted him his request, and he offered two rakah as calmly as anyone absorbed in his devotion. When he had finished, he said to them, I would have prayed more, but for the fear that you may think that I am afraid of death. His action has become a sunnah, a religious Islamic term meaning a recommended practice. If a believer is taken prisoner by the enemies of Islam, and if they were killed to him, it serves him well to pray two rakah if he is allowed to do so, just as Kubayb did before he was killed. The non-believers put Kubayb on a cross of wood, tied him up, and then put up the cross. He raised his eyes to the sky and said, My Lord, we have conveyed the message of your messenger. Inform him of what has been done to us. He then looked at his killers and said, My Lord, count them all and kill them all and let none of them escape. When they realized that he was making his prayer, they fell on their side as it was their tradition. They believed that if they did so, they would evade the curse invoked against them. One report says that they gathered the children of those people whom he killed at the Battle of Badr and gave them spear with which they stabbed him repeatedly, but only lightly so that they could prolong his torment. This was the end of an episode which caused the Muslim in Medina great agony, especially because of the element of treachery involved in the killing. Further treachery on the way. About the same time as the treacherous killing of Muslim at Al-Razi, another group of the Ansar fell victim to an even more ghastly and treacherous crime. The event started when a man from Najd named Amir Ibn Malik, or more respectfully Abu Bara, in the Arabian tradition of calling a man as the father of his eldest son, came to Medina and met the Prophet. The Prophet explained the message of Islam to him and called on him to believe in God's oneness and the message he bows, bowshaped to Muhammad. Abu Bara, a highly respected chief among his people, neither accepted Islam or rejected it outright. However, he suggested to the Prophet that he should send a group of his followers to Najd where they could speak to his clans and tribes and call on them to believe in Islam. He told the Prophet that he had high hopes that the response of the Arab tribes of Najd would not be unfavorable. The Prophet expressed his fear that the people of Najd, well known for their bravery and ferocity, would try to kill them. Abu Bara said that he would extend his protection to them. Welcome to the Stand Up for Truth and Justice. Tonight, I'm sharing from the life of our beloved Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So you can join with me. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe the channel. If you already subscribed, may Allah give you best reward and maybe you can get more reward to ask and encourage others to support and subscribe the channel. In the tradition of Arabia at that time, any man could extend his protection to any other person by publicizing the fact that he had done so. This meant that the tribe of the protector was under an obligation to defend the protected person against anyone who tried to cause him any harm. It was the normal practice that Arabian tribes observed the protection given to anyone by members of any tribe with whom they did not want any friction. All tribes considered that the breach of their protection by any person or tribe an act of aggression which could not be repelled by any major sort of war, or at least the killing of the person who perpetrated such a breach or similar number of people that particular tribe. Prophet sent out a mission which included at least 40, though some reports put the number as high as 70 of his companions, all from the Ansar with the exception of Amir ibn Fuhaira. Abu Bakr's servants, who played an important role in the arrangement of the Prophet's immigration to Medina. When the delegation arrived at a place called Bir Mauna, midway between the area inhabited by the tribe of Amir and the area of Sulaim tribe, they sent one of their number They sent one of their number, Haram ibn Milhan, to the chief of the Amir tribe, a man called Amir ibn At-Tufail, with the Prophet's letter addressed to him. Amir ibn At-Tufail, however, did not even look at the letter. Instead, he killed the Haram ibn Milhan on the spot. It must be emphasized here that Amir tribe were aware that Abu Basra, one of their chiefs, has extended his protection to his mission. He traveled from Medina ahead of them and communicated to all tribes the fact that the Prophet's companions were under his protection. Hence, Amir ibn Abtufail's action is killing Haram constituted a violation of historically observed values and tradition on two counts. He killed a messenger when it was normal practice to grant messengers safe conduct, and he was in breach of a pledge of protection given by a chief of his own tribe. Amr ibn Tufail then called on the people of his tribe to attack the Muslim mission. They would not have anything to do with it. They told him quite clearly that they were not prepared to violate Abu Bara's pledge of protection. He then called on the people of Sulaim to come to his aid. From them he received the response he was hoping for. They marched in force with him as their commander. Soon they encircled the Muslim mission, whose members, concerned over the long absence of their messenger, and started to move towards the place of the Amir tribe. The Muslims found themselves besieged by a force much bigger than theirs. The odds were heavily against them. There were no negotiation or exchange of any sort. The attacker had one objective in mind, and they immediately set about achieving it. The Muslims naturally defended themselves and bravely fought a very hard battle. They were, however, heavily outnumbered, as the Arabic saying goes, numbers beat the courage. The Muslims were no match for their attackers. All the Muslim men in the mission were killed, with the exception of Ka'b bin Zaid, who was wounded and looked all but dead. He lived, however, was able to fight another battle with the Prophet, which took place about a year later when he achieved martyrdom. Okay, so I will end here. So thank you very much, and may Allah give you best reward who already joined and listen. And I will ask to join me tomorrow where I stop. I will continue from there. So, and I hope you all have some nice time and enjoy the information. I ask everyone to listen carefully and take lesson and influence how the Muslim means like the prophets and his companions sacrifice to preach the message of Islam to the world and which was reached to us. So we need to get lesson and how we can develop ourselves and make effort to preach the Islam to others and practice through preaching by word and practice. Also, We don't need to preach by word. Maybe if we practice the Islam, it will people will see how we are practicing, and they will at, attract to the Islam. May Allah give us ability to understand and follow the Islam. See you soon, everyone, and have a nice and blessful night to everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah keep you safe from all the evils and shower His mercy and blessing us upon us all.